On today's episode of HTML5 using Visual Studio Code or VSC. So if you haven't downloaded this, I think you should because we're going to need it for today's episode on learning the basics of HTML5. So let's get started. So right now we're at Visual Studio Code. It should look like this, like with the symbol and then all these, and then we're going to go to File up here. Then we're going to click New File and select a language to get started. To typing to dismiss or don't do this again. So we could select a language. We're going to put in HTML, this language. So the first thing we should do always in HTML is the doc type, which is this. It looks like it has an angle bracket, or what we call the less or greater sign, and then, but in coding, it's called the angle bracket because it looks like angle brackets. So we have an angle bracket, then an exclamation mark, the doc type in all caps, and then we have HTML in all lowercase, and then we have another angle bracket. So it's practically like keeping something in two angle brackets. So for the doc type HTML, there is no closing tag. It's not required. There is no closing tag for it. And so let's change the name for this. We can save as our website or index.html. Done. So now we have this index.html. If you haven't already named it, please do so. And then now we're on the doc type HTML. Now, so we need to indent, which means add 2 spaces. We need to indent, which means add 2 spaces. So add 2 spaces on the next line. Go ahead and do that. All right. Okay, there. Now we need to add the HTML tag. It should be on lowercase. And we'll also see that there will be a closing tag. So a closing tag is the same as an opening tag, but it has this slash right before it. So the words inside of this are all an element. This is an element. This is an element too. But this is an opening tag of an element. This is a closing tag of an element. And in between it is actually the element. Now we're going to indent by adding 2 spaces, and we're going to add 2 more. Actually, wait. No, wait. We go here. And so this is optional, actually. This is going to be optional. First add 4 spaces, which isn't optional. Okay, hold on. These are weird. Okay. So you add 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. And then here you add 4 spaces here. 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. Okay. Right here we can add the title tag, which is optional. You can do this if you want to, but I would require you guys to do it. So for the title tag, I'm going to put index. By the way, I'm going to mention this. Please remember this, or you can write it on a piece of paper. At the title tag, it will not ever, never, ever, the title tag will never, ever appear on the web page. It will never. Because everything that appears on the web page is in between the body tag. It's always in the body tag. But instead, the title tag is supposed to be what's on the tab. Like for an example, I put the title tag to be indexed right now. So like if I opened a web browser, like for example, Google Chrome, and if I ran this on Google Chrome, then the tab's name would be indexed. Because, yeah. And now we're going to add a body tag. We need to indent by adding 2 more spaces. And then we're going to put in a body tag, and then in between here, yep, and then in between here, this is where we're going to write everything that's going to be appeared in the web page.
I have a question, Ashadiee.
Yes.
So you can make this one a little bit bigger.
Oh yes.
So we can see. And question, I see a dot here. Is it because you didn't save it?
This dot is for, yeah, it is because I didn't save it. So to save it, you press Command S, and then it will be immediately saved. So if you highlight on one of these, one thing I really like about this is that when you highlight on one of these, then it's going to give you an explanation about it. Like the body element represents the content of the document.
Okay.
And the title tag, the title element represents the document title or name. It represents the title or name. Authors use titles that identify their document even when they're used out of content. For example, in a user's history or bookmarks or in search results, the document title is often different from its first heading, since the first heading does not have to stand alone when taken out of the context. So it's practically like a mini title of the whole web page. So inside here, we're going to start adding some text. All right. So the first text that I want to teach you guys about is the H1 tag.
Question.
Okay.
How many types of headers do we have?
Okay, there are 6 headers. The biggest one and the most important one is the H1, and then the least important one is the H6 tag.
Okay.
So in between, so the header one is a heading like this is a heading. This is an H1 heading. An H1 heading. This is an H1. And this is an H6. By the way, so this is an example. So there are 6 headings, as I previously just said. And now we're going to add the rest of the headings. This is an H2. This is an H2. H3. And in between here, we're going to write this is an H3. We're also going to write this is an H4. And this is an H5. This is an H5, an H4, is an H4, and this is an H5. This is an H5. So if you have not done this, please go ahead and do it. You can pause the video or you can just follow along with me. So pause this video right now and go ahead and do this. So now you must be done, and yeah, so once we run this right now, we could run it, but not right now. If we run this, the H1, it's going to start from H1, then H2, then H3, then H4, and so on. And it's going to get smaller every time it says, this is an H1, this is going to be the biggest, this is the small, this is the second biggest, this is the third biggest, the fourth biggest, the fifth biggest, and the sixth biggest, which is also known as the smallest. This is a section heading. This is also a section heading. All of these are section headings. And this is also a section heading. Okay, so to give more explanation about heading tags is that the H1 is usually the big title. The H2 is the one in between that title. Like let's say I made a website about cats. The first one would be about cats. The second one would be about what they eat. The third one would be yes, and then the third one.
Right.
Yes, you are right.
Oh gosh. actually I would pick, I'll write H1 like that, and the rest I can use a different thing. For example, I can use a paragraph.
Yes.
Yeah, instead of, because this H1 is more of. Now tell us a little bit about the difference between header and paragraph.
So a paragraph is smaller than an H1. It is really small. So if you haven't already known that a paragraph is actually the P tag, the P element represents a paragraph, so you use it for paragraph instead of using H6. So the reason why we use paragraph instead of just writing bare text like this, like it would show on the screen, but if you want them not to be, but like let's say this is a paragraph, and it's right, this is a paragraph. Oh, yes, hold on. This is a paragraph. If you look at this is going to be something called white space. White space means when the browser ignores all the enters. Like if I write this is actually just going to be right next to it when you run it, because they just ignore all these. And if you want them not to ignore it, then you add something called the pre tag. Then in between here, we'll put all this, and it won't ignore all these spaces. We'll keep it just like this. Yes, but if you want there to be a space, then you could add just 2 break tags. And break tags are tags that used to break. For example, I'm going to put one right here. And it would say this is, and then there's going to be a line, and then this is, and then there's going to be a enter, and then an H6. That's what it's going to do, yes. Then H6. So that's what it is. You need to add 2 of these to make it look like a paragraph. But would you rather add 2 break tags or 1 paragraph tag? So some of you might say a paragraph tag, but I'm pretty sure a little bit of you are saying break tags. But for me, I would say 1 paragraph tag. This is a paragraph. But for now, let's organize everything. What are you doing? Okay, this is an H. Okay. Now right here, there's going to be a paragraph tag. This is a paragraph. Right. So we have learned about the the heading tags, the break tag. Let me just add one. The break tag. The break tag. We have learned about the heading tag, the break tag, the paragraph tags, and also white space. White space. So this isn't all about HTML. There's more things to be about HTML. You haven't already known, HTML is the backbone of the website. So this means that without HTML, CSS wouldn't even work, because the only thing you can change in CSS without any HTML is the background. That's the only thing you can change. That's why HTML is the backbone of the web page. And like CSS is like styling. And also, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language.
So on the next episode, we will learn how we can open our website in a browser.
Yes.
So that's something gonna map on the next episode. Ashadiee, thank you so much. I mean, you covered a lot of things, the basics of HTML, how to write, the doc type, and also what a title is, a title. So something that you can write it, and also there are 2, I think one thing we missed here is Ashadiee, the head of the header, right? The head. So you got the body. Right. So let's go ahead and fix that one before we conclude, so we're going to learn about that as well.
The head tag. So here's the head tag. Okay. Okay, so the title tag is going to be inside the head tag, right there. Also add some indents there.
Couple of things to mention under the head tag is you can mention your links. If you have any links, let's say your CSS, right? External CSS. Can you show us how to do that in the head?
Okay, yeah, so the head tag. Okay, so external CSS, well, there are 3 types of CSS. Inline CSS, and external CSS, and the
internal CSS.
Internal CSS, yeah.
So now show us how you can reference a CSS that is sits in the external.
Okay, so the external CSS.
So you can use a link.
Yes, like an 8.
Link, just link.
So a link tag.
Yes, link.
Yes.
These autocomplete sometimes gonna mess you up. So you gotta be careful when you do autocomplete. It's just gonna so in the link tag.
So we have the link graph. So for CSS, it's kind of different, but it's kind of the same. So in here, in between here, we put in the link. Like, for example, this is there's no spaces. Remember, this is a link. This is a link, and then some other text we're supposed to add, like that, and then.
So you mentioned the href, which is where your CSS stand for. So you're gonna put
.css, yeah. And then right here, we're gonna put in rel, which means
the relationship.
Yeah. And then equals style sheet. Hopefully not to mention that CSS means cascading style sheet too. And then in between here, we could put in my style.css. My style.css.
Okay. So now you're gonna go ahead and create a file with the name of this my style CSS, and you can add it, right? So you're gonna create a new file, and you can call that new file
my style.css.
Yes. So you can rename and save it.
Okay, we're going to call it my style.css. Alright, so
whatever thing we wrote here in the CSS, it will show up on the other one.
Yes, this is going to be the CSS. We're going to learn CSS on the next episode. So let's continue on HTML. There's a lot more to learn. The next thing we're going to learn is the image tag, or for short, the Img tag. The Img tag has a source. Then in between here, please type this info, we're going to put in the link. Link.img, or yeah, img, or jpg. Alright. So then we have the source, the img and the source. And then we are going to add an alt. Alt means alternate, which means whatever we're going to put here is going to be like a little description of the text. And you might be asking, why do we need this? It's because for when, like, For an example, for some reason, the image was not able to be seen, we're going to put in a little text that will be shown at the bottom of the image if it cannot be seen, and it's going to put in a little description of it, like my image, or like an image. Cat, yeah. Okay. So right here we're going to put in cat DPG. So here's one thing about the Img tag or the image tag, is that it does not have a closing tag. It doesn't have a closing tag. Like if I put one like right here, that. So the Img tag never has a closing tag. So we have the body.
What about the A tag?
You are right, yes, the A tag.
Can you show us the A tag?
So the A tag. And here's the A tag. And then we're going to put in ref, which means H reference. And then enter, and then in between here, we're going to put in all the links. Yes, the link, like service now, star, service now, star.com. And then right here, the A tag does have a closing tag. As you see it gives us one right here. So here's a description of it. The A element has a H reference attribute that represents a hyperlink, a hypertext anchor. By the way, A stands for anchor, so you can call it anchor tag, labeled by its contents. So in between here, we put in what do you want it to be displayed, like click here. So when they click on this, it's going to be displayed click here, and then when they click on it, it's going to lead to ServiceNow Star. So tell me some differences about the anchor tag and the image tag. So I will give you a few, and then you will try to think some, and then put them in the comments below. The A tag has a closing tag, and the Img tag doesn't. And that the anchor tag has a H reference, but the Img tag has a source. So can you think of some other ones? I'm going to give you a hint. The A tag references a link, but the Img tag references a. You can go ahead and put it in the comments below. And that the Img tag has an alt, but the ahref kind of has an alt, but it's not exactly one because, yeah. So here is not everything about an HTML, but yeah, similar to everything. There's a lot more to go. So we have done the heading tags, the paragraph, the Img tags, the Img tag, the A tag, and we're also going to need a break tag. A break tag. We'll do the pre tag. This tag doesn't ignore white space. You can go ahead and write this right here in the break tag. By the way, for the image tag, you can put in anything you want here and anything you want on the alt tag, and the same thing to the AFF tag. Put anything you want on the link and anything on the click here. But everything here and here has to be the same. Alright, let's continue. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a white space. So on the My Style CSS, let's go there. Oh yes. So also on HTML, there's also classes, which is really important to HTML and CSS. So this is going to be called H1 or header tag. And then over here, so you add a dot and then you write my H1. Now we're going to start styling. So we're going to start with the background color. So you write this, you write my H1, and then these these brackets, the curly brackets, and then you add background dash color, and then over here the background color. It does not mean the color of the text. It means like the the background color of it, or like the highlight color of it. We're going to pick yellow. So this stands for RGB, or red, green, and blue. So the first one stands for red. There's 218% of red here. And then for green, there's 215% of green. And then for blue, there's 45% of blue. But look what happens when we add a lot of blue. See what happens? The blue changes to 255. By the way, 255 is the maximum number for all these, and there's only 17% of red, 0% of green, which is amazing. And there's also so what if we put it back all the way to white? Then everything is going to be 255, 255, 255. But if we put it to black, it's going to be the opposite. No, it's not supposed to be. Yeah, 0, 0, 0. Yep. So we're going to switch to hex code, which means F, 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 F. And then if we put this, it's going to be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. What if we put it to red? F, F, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So F, F stands for red right now, and it means 255% of red. And the 0 stands for 0 green and 0 blue. So if we change it to blue right now, there's going to be 4% of red and 255% of blue. What about green? There's 255% of green and 48% of red.
There's a lot covered in CSS. Thank you, Ashadiee.
Yes, there is.
Can you summarize what we have learned so far?
Sure. So some things that we have learned here is we have learned the doc type HTML tag,
Syntax
the H1's tags, and also the class tag, and the H2 tag, and all the header tags. We've also learned about the paragraph tag, which this is a paragraph. We've learned about the Img tag, and the alt and the src tag, and the anchor tag, the href tag, which is really a tag, and yeah, we've also learned some differences about the Img tag and the a tag, and we've also learned about the br tag and the pre tag, which means this tag doesn't ignore white space, which means we can add anything we want. This tag doesn't ignore white space. This tag doesn't ignore white space. So that's all what we have for today's episode. Thank you for watching. That's all what we have for today. Make sure that you like, subscribe, share, and subscribe to our videos to get more videos. Subscribe to our channel to get more videos. Bye. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you so much, everyone. That was all about the HTML5. In the next episode, Ashadiee is going to cover the CSS and JavaScript as well.